Hello and welcome to ZeldaSpeedRuns. Today we're pleased to bring you another A Link to the Past Randomizer Crossworld Key Sanity match. It is getting close to the end of the tournament. We are in Losers Bracket Round 7, Game 1 of a best of 3, and it is P-Train versus Hitsuyan, and I am joined today on commentary by Excalibur and Clearmouse. And how you doing today?
We're doing better.
We're doing great.
Your memory is apparently.
Yeah, just a lot going on right now, and I'm like looking. I have the restream on my laptop, and it's still showing the countdown. Apparently, it's paused, so that's why I got a little off tilter. Okay. Let me just check in with the runners, and I will set them off. Sorry about that.
Excellent. No worries at all. We're used to your slick and perfect restreaming talents. How are you doing tonight, Clearmouse?
I'm doing great. And for the record, it's late afternoon here. It's not evening. We're still in U.S. time. Thank you. No.
So this tournament's going on for a while because a while ago when we started commentating at 9, it was still light out and it ain't anymore. 30 seconds to live. So you have 20 seconds to tell us why this match is going to be interesting, Clearmouse.
Oh my gosh. Well, we have P-Train, we have Hitsu, we have two very excellent runners here, especially if Hitsu is actually, after his last match fighting against Schultzer, is the last driven standing of this tournament. So this should be quite the matchup to watch.
Yeah, both these guys are heavily involved with the community, but maybe a little bit less known to the general public. Looks like we're getting split starts, and P-Train finds a much cooler item than Hitsu does.
He didn't even need to quick swap to the mirror. It just automatically appeared and he could just use it immediately. That's so convenient. I'm actually not sure what P-Train's normal start is, but certainly I can see Hitsu doing his very commonly opening move, which is starting from Link's house, going down, checking the potion shop, and then probably going back and hula-handing to get some money.
Yeah, it's I guess the traditional start to do the hula-hand routine, whereas the start at Sanctuary you have to be much more flexible in what you're willing to do, and Pre-Train showing that flexibility, beating Hitsu to the hula-hand, though Hitsu does find the back of Skull Woods. I promise I practiced talking before we came on the air.
And not just today, right?
Every time, I've got to make sure the mouth still works. P-Train going for the rarely seen going right in hula-hand room first strats. I don't know why I find that weird, but I do.
Yeah, it definitely seems like the penchants to do Sanctuary start seem to be increasing over time, at least with runners. And sometimes like while early releases are also really nice to have, sometimes you can just end up finding money early, and then it's like, well, did you do hula hand? Maybe not. And so it seems like some runners are just more willing to take that risk.
Well, and like 2 times in 6, roughly, you're somewhere super convenient to do hula hand anyway, and so you might as well. There's nothing more miserable than doing the start that Hitsu's doing and finding the Sanctuary at the useless fairy drop, right? Like, you did a whole bunch of work to get here, and you could have just started here.
Mm-hmm.
P-Train finding a connector at the castle. Let's see if this goes somewhere good. And K45 is worth knowing about, but not the most exciting place to go. While he's here, he'll pick up some bombs and head to Kakariko, but I don't foresee a lot of reuse of this connector in the future.
Yeah, meanwhile, on Hitsu's side, he's going to head towards the castle, getting that tier 1 tree pull. Unfortunately, just blue rupees today. Looks like that's Magic Bat.
Yeah, and this next entrance for Hitsu is the connector to K45, so because it's the end of the route. He'll take it, and he'll be like P-Train, slightly disappointed.
Yeah, we did find one half of a hookshot cave in the right side of the brother's house. P-Train currently choosing not to take that connector. Finding Hera also where the library is. That's kind of nice. That's should be pretty convenient, actually.
Yeah, I mean that's great. It would be nice to have something other than the one bomb he's got before he goes there.
Yeah, with nothing else really to work with, probably can't do much in Hera.
But the potion shop is another good find at Kakariko. Both convenient for when the mushroom turn-in turns up, and actually just buying potions. That's a thing that people do sometimes. I think that's a heart piece at Lumberjack, so we won't be seeing that again.
Yeah, unfortunately, just because of where the sanctuary is, it does seem like a lot of our both P-Train and Hitsu are just gonna basically Hitsu at this point is just kind of following P-Train's footsteps.
Yep. Which is a good sign for P-Train. P-Train will have to remember to eventually get over and check the witch's hut, but I have faith that's going to happen before it becomes problematic, I guess. There's some chance that he leaves that behind for a long time.
Yeah, certainly he's stumbled upon at least one connector. He has a lot of interests here to work with Kakariko. Maybe he'll get quite fortunate and find the flute, and then he just flute over instead of doing fake flipper.
Yeah, it's sorry about that. It's one potential pitfall for P-Train is that we now know that there's something good at the witch's hut.
So Excalibur, so what in this scene are you kind of interested in seeing, I guess, from both these runners?
I like seeing plays that make the runner feel clever, right? The occasional time when Moldorm bounce is actually a good idea, or the corner.
Have you been watching Zelda out of curiosity?
Oh yeah. Or there's lots of sort of edge case game knowledge things that some of these runners know really well, and others don't necessarily. And it's always cool to see that stuff actually work out. P-Train paying $100 for $20 is nobody's idea of a good rate.
Except the bottle vendor.
I mean,
I guess he doesn't count, right?
If you can run that scam all day, you retire young.
Looks like a vanilla well here in Kakariko. Unfortunately, P-Train ran out of bombs, so I think he's probably hoping for some, for a 3-pack here.
Yeah, both of them happily hula-hand, only to find no bomb shops. That glove is a nice find. As terms of a convenience item, it's not the boots or the moon pearl or anything like that, but it is a nice to have in that you don't orphan a whole bunch of one-off entrances all over the game.
Speaking of conveniently placed bomb shops.
Oh, that's just mean. So P-Train did try to check the 50-50 bush for a bomb on the way over there, missed it, and then couldn't get into the shop to buy more bombs. He also finds the other half of Hookshot Cave, which means the Hookshot Cave is no longer an interesting connector, and so he can cross that off the list twice. It does have to get back there eventually to actually get the stuff, but...
Yeah, I have certainly been told that P-Train knows how to hover, so when he gets either the hookshot or the boots, I'm sure he'll definitely make a way back there, as you said.
Library is dead today. And with gloves in hand,
yeah,
you pick up the 50-50 rocks.
Yeah, P-Train's showing some pretty good game knowledge here.
Yeah, there's actually a fair number of of rocks with stuff under them, but it's just like never, going back to the discussion earlier, particularly relevant, except when it is. So, P-Train, going to take the time to pick up the bug net. So, a choice one can make.
That is a great Aghanim weapon.
There's a detail that's important, which is you can't actually get to Aghanim without a sword.
I understand. I'm just saying that is another option for you to use if you ever have decided to face Aghanim.
P-Train going to steal the key, at least tentatively here, from Desert Palace back. You see that play a lot, sort of borrowing that key so that you can steal it later, but often runners will choose not to actually do the key steal in practice. Uncle at Lumberjack is really nice. Means we definitely don't, or means we don't have to be Agha 1 outside of corner cases that rarely come up, but that'd be nice.
Alright, looks like we're going to take some first major divergence. Hitsu is going to explore some stuff in the Tower of Hera.
I don't expect to see him go very far here. I just don't.
Yeah, no small key, no big key, no hook shot. Yeah.
Realizes that he still has things to do and can't just save and quit.
Yeah, a slight disadvantage in that case for Hitsu, right? Because he hasn't visited Sanctuary to get his mirror, so he just couldn't mirror out what basically P-Train's allowed to do.
Yeah, P-Train, the one that was allowed to do it, chose not to. And having completed a complete loop, P-Train is saving and quitting to move over like a screen and a half. I wonder how much time that actually saves. Feels like not a lot.
This is going to show us what's on the other half of Super Bunny Cave. Unfortunately, not a bunny, nor Super Bunny, and no hook shot and no mirror means he's going to do this the originally intended way.
Developer intended strats. No.
Oh, is this a vanilla drop-down on the back of Zank?
Yep. Okay, well, I mean, the front of Zank was also vanilla.
Oh, that's right. I forgot where P-Train walked out of.
Hitsu finding nothing of particular interest in Super Bunny Cave, but is going to check the connector. While he's here. Maybe someday he will go to Sanctuary. That's an important connector. Finds his way to the Dark World on Bumper Ledge, which you otherwise cannot reach.
Yeah, and I would say, just for where that connector is, actually it's relatively convenient, all things considered.
Yeah. P-Train finding the other chesty connector in Paradox Cave, and checking the exits and finding a Turtle Rock Bridge with mirror in hand seems good.
Yeah, early mirror, especially for these guys to be able to find dark worlds so early, just means that they can be so much more efficient, and we get to see a lot more potential bunny shenanigans, right? If you can hit the mirror on the same frame to enter the door, then you can get Super Bunny status.
Yeah, it's your favorite thing, so you can hope for the world's most awkward Moon Pearl location now on some NPC somewhere with plenty of bunny walking. And of course, all these checks are totally in logic because mirroring as a bunny is in logic. It's required in the vanilla game. P-Train.
Everyone complains about Dead Rock RNG. Those guys, was it Tektites? They're not much better. And they do a ton more damage.
I mean, at least if you had a weapon, you could solve the problem. P-Train loading up on bombs. Going back in for another round. This is actually, I think, the fastest bomb farm cave in the game. Finds the Turtle Rock Escape Cave the convenient way, which means, of course, it's not a thing he wants to do right now. We'll see if he gets back there after finishing off the rest of the entrances available, or goes back to Paradox to check the other exit there.
P-Train. I guess after the first time trying to move those guys over, says nope.
Also, he knows there's health up here, so using the Graveyard Ledge restock room to its fullest.
Yeah, it certainly does seem like, at least in early game, we have two of, probably what is like 4 or 5 of big items that every Crosskeys runner is looking for. They have the glove, they have the mirror, no boots or really sword or pearl quite yet. But it's certainly a lot of mobility and convenience. But unfortunately, looks like a lot of health and no real weapon.
They don't need a weapon. P-Train finding the connector to Desert Right, which is rarely useful, but this is actually a totally fine time for him to be doing these South Dark World sweeps. And so, given that he was done what he was doing, going over here is totally reasonable. He's never going to do it again, but that's a fine place to pop out.
Yeah, P-Train actually has found a good number of these 5-item locations. Because he found Paradox Cave, he also found looks like Hype Cave,
yep.
And he found Well earlier, I guess. But also Hitsu was also there too.
Did Hitsu had a bomb to check the 5th item in the well?
He did.
What it was.
It was unfortunately just a 10 arrow pack. So not something up to be desired for both runners, but it is peace of mind for Hitsu. Whereas P-Train will have to. Well, he certainly will go back.
Yeah,
eventually.
It almost doesn't matter what that item is in terms of the time gained or lost, unless it was something super important. But P-Train's always going to pay the 20, 30 seconds, whatever it is, to walk over there, fall down, and bomb that wall open.
Meanwhile, on Hitsu's side, I am impressed by his creative usage of the bug net, trying to use it as a location detector. Not often something you get to see.
Those bombs are precious. It's the only thing he's got that makes light. I guess. I haven't been able to decode which cave he's in from the swirly roads.
I did assume it was Old Man Rescue, but I guess because it looked like it was spanning 2 transitions, and he was willing to kind of go further.
P-Train finds the mitts super early, which when we find the Moon Pearl will give him Dark World access, which might actually be the logically necessary reason for that item. Which otherwise tends not to be all that exciting in Crosskeys, but maybe there's just a lack of connectivity somewhere in the game.
Yeah, that is that's really a great point, because you're normally in almost every other mode you need mitts to beat the game, but in Crosskeys it's actually very well could be the case that mitts are not required.
I would say more often than not, but that's sort of they're fine. You're usually it's often fine to find the mitts, but finding them this early is a bit suspicious.
Hitsu found the big key to GT, actually, here in Pod. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. I think Hitsu has very mixed results with climbing and scaling GT.
And with the gloves in hand, P-Train is happy to have walked all the way across the bottom, picked up all the rocks available, etc., etc. Nobody's going to be excited about delivering the smiths there unless a flute turns up, because heck that. And at the end of his route, P-Train's going to go check a connector. I missed where the dark room was that led to Death Mountain. Did you catch which entrance that was?
I unfortunately also did not. Okay. I only caught glimpses of his screen when he was starting to use the bucket.
Well, he's found the top of Paradox. which will presumably take him to the same places that P-Train's already been. Whereas P-Train is now trying to do Spec Rock as money, which I guess
so
you didn't have any weapons anyway. So
yeah, I was gonna say, like, at least like it's what his current state is really no different than what his non-buddy form is.
And it turns out that leads nowhere good.
Hitsu also using some game knowledge here, refilling his bombs, knowing that there is a bomb shop here at Paradox Cave, as well as buying a rarely seen heart.
Yeah, I mean, he's about to go do Molten Room with bombs, which doesn't sound like a whole ton of fun.
Don't worry, that shield he has will absolutely protect him.
Oh, the bee, on the other hand. Get him, bee!
Oh my god!
Put back in!
Look at that power of the bug net! That is amazing. And I guess Hitsu just reminded me. P-Train did not do this part because Hitsu just found a sword. Most likely, P-Train either didn't have bombs, or didn't have enough bombs, or didn't want to do this on only bombs. Man, that's a pretty good find for Hitsu right there.
Well, except that here's P-Train.
Oh, well, what? Never mind. I didn't actually realize that P-Train was here. Just so focused on the amazing execution of Hitsu.
P-Train has his good bee all ready to go before he even walks in there. I think he didn't have a weapon, and now he's got the killer bee! Get him.
It's quite resourceful. It's certainly on both runner sides. All right, so we have mirror, we have gloves and mitts on P-Train's side. We have a sword and we have a bug net on both sides. Like they just need boots and the pearl, and they're just all ready to go.
Hitsu finding laser bridge. Got in on the laser skip, but then got distracted on the way back out. And finds his way up to Death Mountain in-laws.
Hitsu's trying to do some laser skips here without the boots. Is definitely pretty challenging.
Yeah, it's
that butts the hard beetle. I mean, that guy is no friend of Hitsu.
all right. So is that 3 deaths for Hitsu and 1 for P-Train so far? You can get there on your iframes, P-Train. Ah, jeez.
Unfortunately, Hitsu P-Train just missing the iframe, but he's able to get the first chest. He'll be up on his fire shield. Similarly, from the top, it looks like Hitsu was able to get the the first chest.
Yeah, it turns out that actually just throwing yourself in the pit, having come in the top door, and then just walking to the chest just works. There's a fairy in a bottle. P-Train's last laser skip will go easier, I guess. It's actually a fine place to use a fairy at this point in the game. And with mirror in hand, P-Train's going to check the very top here first, before checking the drop-downs, which seems reasonable. Oh, Hitsu. Oh, Hitsu. Well, Hitsuyan got to Laser Bridge, 20 seconds before P-Train did? And he's still there.
Yeah, unfortunately. Oh, but maybe it was your blessing, that allowed Hitsu to get the last 2 shots at Laser Bridge.
Now, P-Train gets to rescue the old man with a sword, which seems much easier than with a bug net.
I just feel like P-Train is completely missing out on the bug net location. You have to go through the more vanilla, sword beam sparklies instead.
Yeah, your sword is magic when it emits light in the dark. We'll see if Hitsu checks the Dark World locations. Isn't that... Oh, right, Hitsu has to set up Super Bunny to get these this back at him. Ugh. The Super Bunny setup not going very well for him.
Alright, looks like he got it this time, so he's going to be able to get this sequence broken Ice Rod Cave chest out. Unfortunately, just 10 arrows, but, you know, that means this is a location he'll never have to go back to.
I mean, even having duffed the Super Bunny trick a couple times there, that's almost certainly faster than coming back later, even for an empty cave. Hitsu finding Hyrule Castle at the end of his, or almost the end of his route here. I'm gonna check this last exit, this last light world entrance, having routed this correctly. Finds a dark cave. And then decides to go back to the castle. The odds are pretty good that one of the exits, at least in his mind, he hasn't been to as many light world entrances as P-Train has, is in the light world and can de-bunny him.
Yeah, as we're witnessing here on P-Train's side, he is going to attempt to clip this mimic right out of pod.
And in fact finds that Hyrule Castle Main, P-Train's still mimic clipping, Hyrule Castle Main is in the light world and is on Desert Ledge, which is a good place to find.
Yeah, it looks like Hitsu actually is also going to do a little bit further divergence than what P-Train decided to do. It's going to follow the Turtle Rock connector and explore some more of the dungeon.
And P-Train, I think, just gave up on... Oh, this might be one of those, like, totally weird things going on. Tricks where you, I don't know.
Fairy revival type of thing?
Yeah, I don't know if Mimic Clip can get stuffed in some way, and now he needs to... I think this might set up Potion Glitch. Yep. With the fairy.
That is a display of some good technique there by P-Train.
Yeah, I don't know why Potion works and Fairy works, but the V doesn't. Seems arbitrary, but...
P-Train getting rewarded with some knowledge that he is able to pull that trick off, a heart piece and a map.
Yeah, but might as well. Hitsu getting as far as Chain Chomp Room in Turtle Rock, and then he hasn't yet done... Oh, he's going to go do Front of Escape, which makes all of sense. But he hasn't done this whole South Shore sweep yet, and so he's likely to go and do that when he's on Front of Escape.
Yeah, and no Hyrule Castle small key for either runner, right? So they can't do but Dark Cross?
No, they can do Dark Cross from this side. You need to get all the way to the back, but they've already been to the back, so it's fine. And having rescued the old man, P-Train is now going to show us where the old man lives. Oh.
Well, I'm not sure how convenient that is, but at least it's knowledge.
I mean, the odds are good. They have to go back to back to Kakariko at some point, and so that's actually fine. It also gets that mirror location out of the way, but it's not really useful right now. So P-Train's going to go check the other exit and see if that one's better.
All right, bombs galore so far for Hitsu in Hyrule Castle.
And P-Train finding that dark room that he had apparently failed to identify on the mountain was the back of the old man. So gets to feel dumb for walking through there. He did leave behind the Dark World entrances, which are admittedly out of logic, but they are not traversing them isn't out of logic. And so all the things that Hitsu's doing are totally in logic. So he walked through the castle into the light world, and then back into the castle and turned into Hitsuyan. And so, sorry. Now he's going to walk to Dark Cross, which is not in logic. But the front of escape was. Even though you can't get to the entrance he went in the light world, except via the dark world.
I do think that's actually a really clever piece of logic, or at least like Crosskeys mode that you have to be able to implement, basically to make that logic work for you, right?
Yeah, I mean, even the way that the cross-world entrances work, where you're... I think this is actually just having implemented cross-worlds caves, just the way that the game happened to actually work, but the fact that you retain your world state, depending on which overworld you come from, is... not obvious, but works out. It happens to be pretty cool. It also leads to the weirdness, like the rats and the crickets damage tables depend on which world you entered the dungeon from.
And being on looks like 4 working hearts for both these runners, I'm certainly happy. I'm certainly think that they're happier that they entered from the light world, where rats and crickets only do like half a heart of damage or something like that, versus like the full 2.
Is it a quirk? And Chad, of course, pointing out that you need the sewers key to put all of the front of escape into logic, but they know what I mean.
Yeah, speaking of dark world traversals here, Hitsu is not exactly on the safest path, but this bunny walking, or Hitsuyan bunny walking, is totally logic.
I don't actually know what Hitsu's... It is like a beaver? His bunny?
It's from a TV show. But it's escaping me right now. Should know. I apologize, Hitsu.
And Hitsu finding GT as a bunny, gonna go visit a spike and get himself revived for these 2 chests, which is fine, I guess. P-Train has the mirror in hand and can check the light world bumper ledge entrance, and finds that it's something good. Hopefully we don't need to come back there. Turtle Rock main entrance, I guess it's not that hard to get to.
Speaking of convenient items, Hitsu finds the Cane of Samaria here in Hope Room. I was actually even just thinking, Hitsu probably won't be able to make too much progress here because he doesn't have the cane or doesn't have the hammer. But lo and behold, here we are. We can do at least one more time. We can go a little bit further.
Boomerang strats in Tile Room. No pulling on the wall with the cape for him. But actually do something. I should not watch the 30-second Tile Room montage and actually pay attention to what P-Train's up to. Who's trying to get to the Curiosity Shop as a bunny. Successfully gets past the guards, which is nicely done. To find a boring shop. Chooses to quit there rather than... I'm kind of curious that he chose to walk to that. Left behind the ones on the way to Graveyard Ledge, which makes sense. The one on the way to Graveyard Ledge, which makes sense. And also chose not to go down to Village Hut.
Yeah, meanwhile, Hitsu showing us some knowledge on the torch. There is a Master Sword waiting for him as soon as he gets those boots.
Probably a Tempered Sword by the time he gets that far, yeah. And choosing to follow... Nope. Yes. No, yes. No, yes. Maybe. Spiral Cave, which P-Train left behind earlier.
Alright, looks like... Is this our first kind of foray into the Eastern Palace area?
It is. Which... Yeah, I find it curious that the sort of vanilla first place you go is now pretty far down the priority list. With gloves in hand, P-Train choosing to do this in a what would usually be unusual order, starting at the foot spot 5 and then going up and around, which I believe is faster. I mean, P-Train's doing it, it's almost certainly faster. Hitsuyan finding Floating Island, which gives him also the top of Dark Death Mountain.
Yeah, finds Desert Main as a bunny. Cannot actually make any real progress though without the pearl.
I mean, you can go and run into a Beamos and turn back into back into Hitsuyan. Choosing between jumping down in the Dark Worlds and not. The Turtle Big Chest entrance is a good place to know about because that's the only way to get to that chest. Kind of a shame it's somewhere crappy, but life goes on. Another place you don't really want to see in an out-of-way location is Bumper Cave. I was going to say Bumper Ledge again, which is certainly wrong. Just in case you actually have to come back and traverse that. Man, P-Train is diving Dark World bits left entrances.
Yeah, quite convenient find here to find Thieves Town.
He's gonna go do some Thieves Town while he's here. Might as well.
Certainly, I mean, to be this is just basically 4 free chests.
Yeah, and it contains a fair amount of information, right? Because everything, if you find anything here, it can't be locked behind the moon. And given that Dungeon Bunny Revival is basically free.
Speaking of, oh man! I mean, it looks like flippers were bit-locked today, and and the fact that P-Train was like spit on the floating island.
Flippers are also flippers locked.
Yeah. I mean, that sounds like that was the only way really to get the Thieves down.
Yeah. It's that's the logical crosskeys actually working right there. So,
what do you think? I mean, so like, would that be an example of something that would make the runners feel clever?
I guess it's a. Well, now we get to go do flipper stuff right now, which I guess when you're locked on Lake Island is certainly convenient. Well, and you know, that's a good example of P-Train finding himself on Lake Island, basically through no volition of his own, being like, well, I might as well check this. Oh, it's Thieves Town, I might as well die. Oh, hey, look, it's the flippers. The fairies being impolite and refilling P-Train's bottle with an empty bottle.
I was gonna say, was that a vanilla waterfall fairy there?
Yep.
Yeah,
vanilla waterfall fairy, except less nice, because the waterfall fairy usually gives you stuff.
That's true. Alright, looks like just a compass on Zora Ledge. P-Train's probably not going to spend his time getting it. But yeah, it looks like, at least from his rupee count, he didn't actually technically need to hula hand at the very beginning, but, you know, just having that extra buffer is always really nice to have, especially after you spend 500 here.
Yeah, and it's fast enough to do that, and, you know, basically the reason he has the money is he didn't find a shop in forever. That is a heck of a place to find a hook shot. There's every chance that Hitsu leaves that behind for a long time. The gloves do put Zora in logic, but people hate walking up there. And the flippers stuff, you know, the Zora sort of gets grouped in with the flippers checks in people's minds, because you have to fake flipper to get up there. If you're not going to walk the slow way, which people hate doing. And then people don't do fake flippers checks because it's cross keys, because whatever, it can't be anything important. So I worry about Hitsu finding that in a timely fashion.
Yeah, especially since that they also don't have the moon pearl. So, you know, even if you fake flipper up to the Zora area, you can't check waterfall fairy location.
And the no hovering hookshot cave today, because the boots is in there. And the boots is good for P-Train to
Are
have.
they really?
Mhm. He's going to run soon, any second now, I promise.
Alright, mirror in hand, boots on feet. He is going to give us a very logical keystone check here. Kingston was what, Desert Right? Does that look like?
Yep, Desert Right. This isn't too far from Sanctuary, and he just save and quit, so I wouldn't be too surprised to see him check the logical checks, and if it's nothing particularly important, go and do the key steal and maybe reset. And if they are something good, maybe coming back to the reset or the key steal later, if he gets desperate for things to do.
Yeah, and also just and just really kind of like really fortunate set of finds for P-Train, right? He found the boots right before he's gonna do Desert. Desert's one of the best dungeons to have for boots.
Yeah, this is a nice place to go fast. Hitsu finds himself spat out Desert Main, sits and thinks for a second, decides that the place he'd rather be is in the menus. Desert left is somewhere else that's awkward to get to, which is the top of the castle.
Yeah, P-Train finding Swamp Palace here. It's certainly good knowledge here. I can't get the middle entrance because he doesn't have an upgraded sword or the cape, but based on what we saw from Hitsu's side, we know that there's a sword on the torch. So when he goes and visits GT, he'll pick up a Master Sword.
Yeah, if it goes into the GT out of logic. Sooner or later they have to find a Moon Pearl, by the way.
It's just one of those minor details in the sea that it'd be nice to have, right?
I mean, in principle, you can beat the game without ever finding it. In practice, it tends not to happen, but most of the dungeons you can kill yourself and revive. Many of the caves you can super money your way into. You can't get everywhere, you can't do everything, but it is in principle possible to beat the game without the Moon Pearl. P-Train.
Oh my gosh! Speaking of the Moon Pearl that we're speculating about, Hitsu's gonna go back there eventually, but geez, just on the train, I mean, P-Train must be feeling really amazing right now, just based on his routing decisions.
That's a terrible location for the Moon Pearl. And P-Train hasn't seen Laser Eyes yet, so he's gonna scooch his way across here. Oh, first gonna go check the lava chest and so on. But I wouldn't be surprised to see him on his next trip to the front of the door there, bonk across and check the left entrance as well. Hitsu finds himself back in Pod, which presumably means he's running out of ideas. Running out of entrances that he hasn't ticked off at least in his mind that are done. Well, P-Train at least has used some working knowledge to know that either freezes those Pokies, so he's not at least running around. But yeah, still takes the number of slashes though. Well, and the other issue with fighter sword Pokies is not very much health and green mail is that you hit the thing a bunch of times and you're like, freaking die, and then the Pokey bits fall off and they murder you.
Alright, unfortunately I didn't end up getting a chance to see if that death was intentional on Hitsu's side because he was in the Dark Maze or if it was on accident. But maybe it looks like it was not intentional because it looks like he's going back and I don't think he has the pod big key.
That sucks. Given that this is out of logic anyway, I'm kind of surprised that he's making the return trip like this, sort of as a matter of high priority. But Like it's defensible. It's just kind of surprises me. And P-Train with Mitts in hand and Moon Pearl in hand. Look at him and his ability to go to the Dark World in a convenient fashion. Is going to check these Dark East Death Mountain entrances.
Yeah, not only is he able to go to the Dark World in a convenient manner, he is able to dash to the Dark World.
Gotta go fast.
Finding Eastern.
It's a fine place, a fine thing to find. Another place that it's convenient to have the boots, combined with it being sort of a crappy place to get back to, makes this dip more palatable for P-Train.
Yeah, typically it seems like people, a lot of runners are kind of split between how much they want to dip Eastern, given that they have no bow and no big key. But yeah, as you said, because this place is really kind of just obnoxious to get back to, I certainly don't fault P-Train for just wanting to at least see like what the front couple items are. Given that he has the boots and the hook shot, makes things go a little bit faster too.
Yeah, he's got all the convenience of Eastern and none of the actually required items.
Alright, looks like Hitsu is going to eventually, hopefully, make his way over to like Haley Island. Given the connectors, he is in this, relatively same area as P-Train was earlier, before kind of being able to take those connectors to Thieves Town.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Thieves Town is not per se the problem, I guess. Where was the Turtle Rock Big Key?
Turtle Rock Big Key was in the Desert Palace Big Chest. Which Hitsu did I think both runners have. I'm trying to remember where the Desert Palace Big Key was. I think it was in Hype Cave.
But that means Hitsu has to get the flips. It doesn't have to. Yes. So he has to have some excuse to go back to Desert to get the key, or to go back to Turtle Rock, which is somewhere else that's awkward, to get the Moon Pearl. All of which sounds really terrible for Hitsuya, by the way.
Yeah, it looks like he at least wants to finish off the Eastern Palace area before potentially going back for that connector.
Yeah, choosing to do the Eastern Palace area in the sort of traditional order of Sahasrara, Eastern Palace, Flute 5, meant that he discovered the connector first.
Yeah, in fact, yeah, that's right. Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, he found the connector and he just turned right back around.
Yeah, so we'll see if he walks all the way back up there in a moment, but as P-Train goes dash, 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 right across big, long, obnoxious streams, he chooses not to go back to the Welling Brothers connector, and so means he's not going to find Thieves Town, which means he's not going to find the Flippers, which means he's not going to find. It means he's not going to go to Zora, at least for a while.
Yeah, probably, like, as you said, going to Thieves Town and getting those flippers probably isn't the most important thing. The most important thing is really just visiting the Zora area and getting that hook shot. But yeah, it's a really good question as to when he's just going to be able to go back there. Meanwhile, P-Train struggling a little bit on the Skull Boys overworld, but at least makes it to the dungeon with, some amount of health left.
I thought for sure that I don't actually remember what they're called. The things that eat your shield. It was going to eat his shield there, but he got away with it. Hitsu finds Aga Tower and is going to do the quote-unquote quick kill on the two ball and chain guards with the fighter sword.
Certainly has put himself to a very good setup, though.
I mean, this is the fastest way to do it with this weapon. It's just not actually that fast. Okay. Incoherent saying that apparently Hitsu's game knowledge has slightly failed him because the spins don't help. Which I guess makes sense. P-Train now going to run all the way across Skull Woods, make us feel more sorry for Hitsuyan.
Yeah, he's in your favorite room here doing the favorite strat without the King of Samaria.
Yeah, he doesn't have fire. He doesn't have fire rod, and he doesn't have cane. There's a little time that Hitsu gets to have back.
And unfortunately, on P-Train's side, he didn't end up taking the exit there, and he was only on 2 hearts, so it's a little tiny little bit of time loss. I guess in this case by not taking the quote-unquote safety door out of this.
Hits the berry when it's in electric mode. This is why I don't like this room, by the way.
P-Train showing us that this is some of the struggle that runners, get to before they're able to do this room, quote unquote, the better way.
Chat suggests that he uses darn magic medallions, but.
Alright, looks like third time's gonna be the charm here. He's gonna take the safety door, and of course, because he's doing that, he's not gonna die.
Well, I believe, though exactly how this works, I can't tell you, that the RNG is slightly better, at least more predictable, if you come in the bottom door. And so the Gibdos did the things that he expected them to do, instead of other things, and so he didn't die. So I think, actually, no jokes, going out the safety door made him not. Or less likely to die. Hitsu has cane. Good cane. I mean, he has all the canes. But he has the cane that helps with Turtle Rock. And so he's off to go get get at least this first chest. While he's here. Having found Bumper Ledge earlier before getting the mirror, which took some doing, given that the mirror was in the sanctuary.
At least from Hitsu's perspective, taking that first venture into Turtle Rock, he knows it's out of logic, right? Because he got the King of Samaria out of GT.
Yep. Hitsu somehow managing to dodge the murder dactyls is a bunny, and I don't know if there's skill there or the murder dactyl just misses sometimes, basically at random.
I believe it was mentioned that there is a chance that the murder dactyl will actually miss you, but there are definitely times when the chance of hitting is 100%.
Right. P-Train finds the sick kid and the bomb shop in Village of Outcasts to know, the information's nice. Sick kid didn't give him anything particularly good. But, nice to have. Nice to know. Ice Palace is on the 5-6 crystal list and isn't something we've found yet, which is what it is.
Yeah, and also, so P-Train has all 3 medallions, which means that once he does find Ice Palace, he is able to go in and make some progress. Hey, we have a high five on both our runners, but unfortunately, P-Train is the one in possession of the Moon Pearl, whereas Hitsu is not.
Hitsu picking up the blacksmith while he's in the area for carrying on his Dark World quest. This blacksmith is going to go on a freaking world tour because the blacksmith shop is over in Ice Rod area, which is quite the trek.
At least he has the boots, so he can at least dash it a little bit faster. Oh, finding mini Moldrum. Oh, that's right. We saw this on Hitsu's side, but because he didn't have the Moon Pearl, he couldn't actually do anything here.
Yeah, this is something that you definitely mark down on your tracker. Unfortunately, his tracker's too small for me to read, but yes. He's used the chest marker on the Dunka tracker on this cave, so we remember to come back to it.
Extremely nice safety mini Moldrum cave here. Some well-desired heart containers and the blue mail.
Hitsu apparently missed the connector to Cave 45 earlier, or failed to mark it.
Yeah, I was gonna say I could have. Yeah, maybe he just ended up not following it because it's definitely we definitely saw it on P-Train's side, and if they had followed it all, is definitely something you would not you wouldn't revisit.
Yep. P-Train finds Mimic Cave without the hammer in hand, so write that sucker down, get back to it. Goes for a swim in the pond, and then decides he'd rather go across the top of the Dark World, I think. That was some comprehensive indecision. Pretty sure you can Whirlpool the Smith, so I think this is just a change of mind and not a screw-up.
I mean, this is probably his last location up here, so chances are if he didn't visit it now, he's just gonna, like, isolate it.
Yep. I'm just walking through the King's Tomb special little box there. Gonna go get Catfish, or at least the Dark Witch's hut, and then use this Whirlpool to go take the Smith home. This Catfish goes everywhere. And he already knows where the Old Pen Cave is. So I don't know if he knows where the front of it is. And so presumably won't accidentally lose the Smith somewhere along this ridiculous chain.
Yeah, speaking of potentially losing the Smith here, I guess P-Train doesn't have a fire source, so he is not going to be able to visit the Back of Skull Woods. But this at least is a good game knowledge for him.
Yeah, and I think he would leave it behind anyway at this point. I don't know.
Hey, speaking of, are you witnessing what we're seeing on his inside? He is going to pay Zora a visit.
Without the Moon Pearl, can't check Waterfall Fairy and find Waterfall Fairy, but can check Zora and knows it's in logic.
Yeah, this is a really, really good play for Hitsu. Especially because the boosts were hookshot locked, especially in a hookshot cave. I mean, just the longer that P-Train has those boosts, it's just going to be a slight more time advantage given to P-Train.
Yeah, I mean every screen you save, whatever it is, a second, and it's it doesn't add up to that many seconds over the course of the game, but it is 100 or something. And Hookshot Cave is going to be high on Hitsuyan's to-do list. One, because he's running out of locations. Like, he wouldn't be doing this if he didn't have a relatively short list of things to do. But two, because it's easy to get to. It's in both ends of it are in Kakariko, as is the Old Man, and so this is a really easy check. P-Train whirlpooling over to Shopping Mall. Gets to get these Shopping Mall checks out of the way at the same time as returning the Smith. Decides to return the Smith first, which I think seems perfectly reasonable. They make him, I was going to say, get another key to pod, but no, it's the Hyrule Castle key. Putting all of the checks that turned out not to be nothing and particularly useful into logic.
Well, speaking of progression, not only did P-Train find the Pyramid Fairy content, he got a free blue potion out of this, and he got a hammer out of this.
Yep, that's a crappy location. It might be the case that Hitsu gets dragged over there by the Smith eventually, but
so with that hammer, it looks like almost an hour in, we have traditional Dark World access.
We had it already. We had.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, that's right. But now at least we can use some more portals.
It means that the world tour is not necessary to repeat. P-Train there setting up the quick warp. I don't know if by coming into that warp pad from the left saves some small number of frames. But it's easy to do, and so places where it's easy to do, you see many runners do it. Places where it's harder to set up quick warps, a lot of people get lazy and just hope for the best. I think it's 2 of every 8 X pixels. The warping animation is slightly faster for no reason that makes any sense into a modern programmer.
Yeah, when I first heard about the course, I was like, why is this even a thing?
I have no reasonable explanation for that.
Right, we sound big key in hand. He's just gonna visit the back here. Unfortunately, did not end up getting some good RNG dashing for Hellway there. Did not pick up the small key, correct?
Did not. So it's going to be leaving behind the big chest, unless it turns up in here somewhere. Hitsu
Yeah, sorry,
finds the castle connector and finds Swamp Palace. Also doesn't have Master Sword yet, so can't check that middle entrance and tell us about something cool. So the next logical thought the chat needs to be wishing on Hitsu to do is going back to Turtle Rock Big Chest entrance. Unfortunately, that's pretty much a one-off, and it's not anywhere easy to get to. So now he's really low on locations, and so there's a fair chance that he makes it back there. In fact, he makes it back there right now.
Yeah, pretty much it looks like he's just following basically the exact path that Peach had taken earlier.
Boom.
Very happy for Hitsu to, I guess, at least basically having the last of his major items found, which is the Moon Pearl.
Yeah. That sort of logical train of hook into boots and Moon Pearl was really holding him back, and so he's done a bunch of stuff that P-Train hasn't done. We'll see if P-Train winds up doing it later. Of course, if P-Train does it later, he will do it faster because he has all of the toys now. But there's some chance that P-Train gives some of that advantage back just by checking what turns out to be the wrong places.
Yeah, I can certainly see P-Train going back to Hyrule Castle and basically full clearing that place as well. So, like, that time that Hitsu spent is certainly not going to be time lost. Although P-Train will be able to have dashing abilities through the castle, so it will be not all the time.
Yeah. P-Train, it is worth noting, now has Hammer Hook. And so when he eventually finds Ganon's Tower, which he hasn't done yet, by the way, right? Hitsu found it ages ago. He can do the left side.
Yeah, it looks like according to our trackers, both Hitsu and P-Train have 2 small GT keys, so he can definitely make a lot of progress in GT basement.
Yeah, the GT key logic is pretty optional, just because there's a bunch of doors in GT that are dumb. You shouldn't use them.
Yeah, like the center one.
Yeah, like the game, logically, you need to have a key for that door. In practice, you don't need to have a key for that door, ever. And so, Hitsu screwing up the quick kill on the Stealthos room. I missed exactly what he did wrong, but now I get to feel bad for him.
Also, kind of a question that when P-Train eventually does find GT, if he is willing to climb GT proper. I know that he did make a small attempt to mimic clip in Pod. I'm not sure if he was willing to do that for GT upstairs without the bow.
What's behind Pod? It's useless fairing. Makes it. Behind GT upstairs. That makes me a little bit less excited to climb. Pretty sure it's useless fairing. So it's only you're only climbing for the 5 items up there. I don't think you mimic clip that until at least a suspicious number of GT keys turn up, which 3 might be a suspicious number, or you're desperate. Like, yes, a bow can be up there, I guess, but you definitely need a bow you almost certainly need a bow to beat the seed.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, in that case, even if there's a bow up there, it's a bow blocking a bow, so
Yeah.
the bow has to be somewhere else.
Yeah. And it's not like those are particularly fast checks either, right? It's not just, like 5 quick and dirty checks to do. It's it's called the gauntlet for a reason. All right, P-Train versus Malorm round 2, this time with hammers. Much better.
Yeah, meanwhile, in the Tower of Hera, he did end up also finding the big key to pod, so it's certainly a very requisite dip.
And I think has picked up a small key or 2 in the time since visiting pod, and so might have enough checks to do that next time he's sort of in the area doing those checks. Going back into pod might be appealing. That being said, pod is not particularly easy to get to. It's on the mountain, and the connectors up there are okay, but they're not awesome. And so, if he's led up there by some other task, I can see redipping pod at this point, but not as a priority item.
Yeah, and at least from the second dip that we saw on Hitsu's side, there wasn't anything of note, I think, that Hitsu had found in the second trip.
P-Train with hammer in hand checks the Hammer House and Village of Outcast. Hasn't done South Dark World yet. I'm surprised he didn't do hammer pegs before he did this. Maybe he's going to do these, go back and pick up the purple chest.
Alright, Hitsu looks like he is going to do the same set of the get his map to GT here. Hopefully he'll have an easier time than P-Train did with the King of Samaria.
Yes, he's got the King of Samaria. Boop! Problem solved.
Alright, so that's 0 deaths for Hitsu and 3 deaths for P-Train. Got it.
Yeah, that's all the deaths on Laser Bridge made back up for P-Train. I've seen Hitsu do glitchless laser skips a lot of times, and I don't remember having that much trouble. He must have just, his timing instincts or whatever were just a little bit off, or wrong controller or something.
Yeah, I had also gotten the sense that maybe Hitsu hadn't also been playing the game, as of like super recently, so it just also could just be a little bit of rust.
Right. Especially those sort of fussy timing things are the first to go in the memory, and so that if rust is going to show anywhere, it's going to be show on things like that. P-Train clearing the hammer pegs, not finding anything of particular interest, and then picking up purple chest. Looks like he's...
Yeah, of course, yes. When you mean by pick up, you mean leave exactly where it is sitting on the ground and dash away, right?
That's close enough, right? I mean, as long as the guy doesn't notice you forgot to bring it, he'll open it for you. That works. He can do this because he doesn't have to mirror anywhere along here. He's already come out K45 via a connector, and so this just means there's more running for P-Train. Those that aren't aware, the glitch that's going on here, which has become super popular over the last little while. It's been known for a long time, and then in the last 6 months, everybody seems to have decided to do it. Is that if you mirror right next to the guy, it doesn't notice that you don't have the chest for some number of frames, and then he just gives you stuff.
Yeah, I like that book. Oh, I'm glad that P-Train didn't earbot there. Almost thought he was going to get clipped in. How very convenient that he's in the Dark World and he can just check Bomba's tablet right here.
It's this second or third really convenient item they've gotten this seed.
Oh my gosh! Speaking of, that is some really useful knowledge for P-Train. Seeing that was the fire rod on Bomba's tablet.
That's a good one.
And we know at least where one of the sword is, and all of this, of course, puts everything like GT in logic. So once they get, so I mean, those boosts were even more required today.
And speaking of which, I thought this would be a tempered sword by the time when they got here, but that looks like a master sword still. So hopefully P-Train's notes last for the 5 minutes it's going to take him to get back to Bonus Tablet. And then he can run back over here and do right side. Red Cane is in the only non-trolly exactly where you need that location in the game, because everybody always does Hope Room.
Yeah, speaking of Southwest Room, also GT, P-Train pick up his Eastern Palace care package, finding a bow and the Eastern Palace big key.
Yeah. He might be making a return trip shortly.
P-Train has a lot of good options available to him right now.
Yeah, he still needs, in his mind, he still needs, probably, though it's getting less probable, the Ice Rod, the Red Cane, which we know is on the right side, and nope, that's it. That's it for Gobo. Maybe some small keys.
Yeah, unfortunately, we still don't have full knowledge of crystals and pendants, right?
Only one of them has even done a map check, and they haven't gotten that many maps. So yeah, we're, I think, a long way from full knowledge, but the only thing that affects really is whether or not we need the Ice Rod. And to some extent, I would just start clearing dungeons until you got to 7 crystals, and if it turns out that the Ice Rod was necessary, be sad after full clearing all the things you can clear, which is going to be, at least after he does Hope Room, most of them, right? He's got everything except the Ice Rod. So he's like conditionally in go mode half the time.
Yes. Have
we
found Ice Palace yet?
We haven't found Ice Palace, and we haven't found the dam.
It's actually, speaking of the dam, Hitsu actually was just in the dam. It was the Dark Fog Rocks.
Alright. Well, P-Train hasn't found the dam.
Yes.
P-Train screws up the bonk over the pit and has to bomb jump it. Oh dear.
It's actually pretty resourceful of these runners, right? I mean, I certainly don't expect any less of them, but it's like they know the main strat, right, which is the block over. But then in case that goes wrong, they also know like the backup strats, and in case like the backup strats goes wrong, they also know the backup strats.
Yes, except that the like potentially the right dancer a lot of the time just do the freaking maze strats. They don't know that one.
Oh, you mean the original developer intended way? Oh, right.
Yeah.
We don't care about those.
And actually, in Crosskeys, I feel like you want to use, like, you get here without a bow often enough that sword beams are quite often useful to have against ice armors, and so doing it the developer intended way, if you don't have the boots, is actually like totally a reasonable thing to do. And I've had multiple runners just be like, "Yeah, I don't know how to do that." So, P-Train still only has one map. Was hoping that his map check would tell him something. And here's the Fire Rod. What he really wants is the Turtle Rock map. That would tell him all the things he actually needs to know. By which I mean whether or not he needs the Ice Rod. Getting more likely.
It's
we're 1 in 4 to need the Ice Rod now. I would just
Yeah,
clearing
that seems
dungeons.
surprisingly like wrapped up very quickly, or so far. Like I felt like we hadn't made much progress, and suddenly it just seems like on P-Train's side, we're just what, 1 or 2 locations and 1 item away potentially from Goma.
So P-Train has just left behind Hope Ring. Like, I know he doesn't have the cane.
You're correct. He's just at full left side, and then he mirrored
failed.
out. You're right. You're absolutely right. Well, he'll eventually need to be back there anyway. Hopefully, he'll just hope he'll be on the sooner side rather than the later side.
Yeah. I mean, I know people leave behind things that are out of the way. I assume that what happened is he got distracted by the Master Sword and going and getting the Fire Rod. But you don't need, like, those checks are faster than these 3 checks. Schultzer, Ganon is at somewhere in the Light World, Lostwood.
Yeah, certainly the hope is that P-Train just forgot, because he got distracted, versus hopefully he didn't mark anything off his tracker and then just will never visit that again.
Is unfortunately using the compact version of the item tracker, and so or just isn't checking off chests on his item tracker, so I can't tell if he accidentally picked those ones off or not. A lot of runners don't, but he's certainly running away from GT now. So
yeah, meanwhile, taking that cane that Hitsu did find in Hope Room of GT, he has a clearable mire, assuming he can do Dark Rooms, which I'm almost certain that he can. No Fire Rod means, unfortunately, no Squeaky.
Yeah, also no Fire Source means no Fire alongside of Mire, which saves us from the world's most exciting cutscene. And having found the dam, P-Train has he does still have to find Ice Palace, but is now Swamp Palace enabled. So the next time he's in the pyramid area, we'll likely clear that out.
Yeah, and then also because both runners didn't have the cape, or another sword to be able to visit the Aga Tower entrance, they can also make that additional check when they're there. P-Train also giving us an additional check on the Chicken Palace. Hitsu had actually found this location much earlier, but he did not have the pearl, so he couldn't actually get this item, which is alright, not important.
Yeah. I assume the next time Hitsu is running past there, he's gonna pick that up. But not. P-Train running back to shopping mall. Thought he was headed to Pod, but apparently not.
Speaking of what Incoherent had mentioned in chat, Hitsu must do the requisite 5th chain. Looks like Hitsu has mirrored out and is going to start that chain.
And unlike P-Train, not taking Jeremiah on the world tour, which means he's not going to check shopping mall. At least not on this trip. Which is unfortunate because there's stuff over there. And P-Train, I think, is actually heading to
the backup Skull Woods. Is that right?
Yeah. Well, the backup Skull Woods is in Witch's Hut. which
maybe he wanted his
presumably
fortune told here.
seems unlikely. And then I would expect the next items on his route to be the pyramid, which actually neither runner has checked, and then the Swamp Palace on the top of the pyramid, and that last entrance on the top of the Swamp Palace on the top of the castle, which is accessible via the pyramid. P-Train too cool to pick up that last magic pot. Hope his moth fight goes well now.
He has 8 hearts. Hopefully should not be too much of a trouble. So he did, pause the requisite amount of time so he wouldn't get 1.0'd and grab right out of that dungeon.
I think it's lucky / good hitting moth into the block there right off the start. Yep, exactly 8 hits. So they all counted.
Alright, looks like if he had brought his Smith friend along with him, he would have been able to keep him after this dungeon because Woods is a pendant. And for some reason, if you pick up a pendant, your follower stays with you. You pick up a crystal, your follower goes away.
Crystal's a follower.
Right. Uh-huh.
I assume it has to do with the cutscene that plays in the vanilla game, but
that is a good observation.
So P-Train actually gets across 2 pendants off his list there, with the pod map coming from Mothula. Learns that pod is also a pendant. So now we're up to 50-50 on needing the ice rod. Bad news for P-Train. Chooses not to pick up the red mail after pausing for a second to think about it.
Alright, Hitsu showing us really nice curtain jump there because he has not followed the connector that was in Sahashula's hut to Lake Hylia Island, which then he would pick up the stone to get to Thief's Town, which would lead him to Flippers. So, forgetting about all that stuff, he's just going to use the curtain jump instead.
Yeah, didn't get his Flippers locked Flippers yet, which is fair enough, really. Incoherent tells me that my speculation as to why the crystals count as a follower is correct. I enjoy that it still counts as a follower even though we don't watch them anymore. Like, yes, lady, you can talk. It's fine. And Schultz was correct. This race now has 1 point of suspense, which is, will P-Train ever go back to Hope Room? Which is maybe not the best kind of suspense to have in a race, but that's where we're at.
Yeah, and given that after P-Train can pick up the Kingdom Samaria in Hope Room, he can even go further. He can clear the rest of the basement, because when Hitsu was there, he didn't have a fire source, so he could go as far as the tile room. Looks like we have, also thanks for our trackers for updating the information on P-Train's side, we have full crystal and pendant knowledge, because P-Train has found Sahasrahla, and we found out that today's green pendant is Turtle Rock.
Which means that P-Train is in conditional go mode. Conditioned on him going to freaking Hope Room.
And he still needs to find Ice Palace. I think that was the one dungeon we haven't seen yet.
Yes. But he has basically every entrance to the game. Right? Every entrance to the game that Ice Palace could be in. Because he's got Fire Rod, he's got all the pendants, he's got myths. He doesn't yet have... I lied. He can't get to the Mire area unless there's a connector. And so there's some chance he needs a flute. But... because I'm pretty sure we haven't seen the Mire yet. So there's still, whatever, half a dozen entrances over there that he could be locked out of.
Alright, speaking of unknown locations that we still need to find, Kittrain has found his last requisite dungeon.
Yep.
Doesn't look like he's gonna quite go mode this quite yet.
Well, he
Oh yeah, that's right. He doesn't know. That's right, because we know.
Kittrain doesn't know the thing.
That's right. From his perspective, the King of Smara can absolutely be in here. Yeah. Also, another unfortunate consequence: he will not have the cane, so therefore he can't do Icebreaker. Let's see if he still, can dust off that old Ice Pals bomb jump here.
I feel like runners over the last year have gotten way less good at Ice Palace.
Certainly, at least in the rando community. I guess, this isn't quite allowed yet in NMG. I don't know if it ever will be. But yeah, at least those more purists still know Ice Palace Bomb Jump very well.
The whole glitch arguments about what glitches are major glitches, like, fine. You guys have fun having your arguments. It feels like, I don't know, small town politics or something else where it's a bunch of light and noise, but not necessarily.
Fortunate for us, P-Train is one of the Racing Council leaders. So, during the interview, if you ever have questions, I think, on, what is considered to be legal for racing or not, sounds like he is quite the person to be able to, answer to your questions.
I mean, mostly what I think is silly is that the Rando Racing Council and the arbiters of NMG have decided different things about this glitch for no particularly obvious reasons.
P-Train remembering that he's doing this dungeon front to back, so he will actually need to pull that tongue.
We have a rando disbeliever in chat, which seems like an odd place for someone that doesn't believe in rando to be. The winner is not always the one with the lucky item drops. It turns out that doing the correct thing, the things in the correct order, given the input variance, makes you win more than half the time. But I'm going to assume that trolls that turn up in rando races to tell us that we're not having the right kind of fun don't hang around to listen to responses. So that's enough of that. Ice running.
I did see, unfortunately, so I didn't actually quite catch when Hitsu decided to mirror out of Ice Palace, but it looks like he does not want to finish it. Oh, because he doesn't have the hammer. That's right.
You don't got no hammer.
That is a very important detail that Hitsu probably needs. The hammer was in Dark Shopping Mall, right?
Smith's, I thought. No, Dark Shopping Mall.
Yeah, then you got to turn in Smith, and that's how P-Train was able to very efficiently combine his route there.
Yes, and Hitsu chose to just go over there and turn in the Smiths, which surprised me a bit, given that he hasn't checked the Dark Shopping Mall. But hey, yeah, has led him away from the hammer.
Yeah, in terms of just what Hitsu still needs to do, eventually he will make his way to Dark Shopping Mall. It's going to be like it probably won't be one of the last things on his mind, but because in this case Swamp is a crystal today, which means we need those flippers, he absolutely has to go follow that connector from Eastern Palace, or the Eastern Palace area.
He's already fake flippered over there once. Hitsu, where you going? You've come out there before. That's just stone cold a mistake, unfortunately. Sorry, I'm thinking about too many things at once, and my brain ran out of sentence in the middle there. It turns out I cannot read chat and talk at the same time. I don't know how professional streamers do this stuff, and I'm not one of those people. Sorry. So P-Train picks up another crystal. now, so he can do a lot of things, and he's gonna do a lot of things before he gets back to the GT. Right? He's got a bow. He can basically clear all the dungeons except Mire that he knows he needs to clear, and I assume he's gonna do all of them before getting back to GT. The question is, once he's done all that, like 10 minutes from now, then what does he do? And in the meantime, we're trying for Hitsu to pick up his hammer. And pick up...
Yeah, unfortunately, Hitsu is still back here without the hammer. Or a bow, for that matter.
Yeah,
and of course, the bow was blocked by the hammer, so yeah, we really want Hitsu to go visit our shopping mall. This is Hitsu's third trip back to Batu.
I seem to recall the book was somewhere really convenient to go check the Bombos tablet.
It was from Purple Chest, but unfortunately for Hitsu, he turned in the Purple Chest in the Light World, unlike P-Train, which mirrored from the Dark World.
It's the second time Hitsu sort of left behind obvious... Like, I don't know why he'd do that, I guess, is the analysis I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to figure out what the advantage to what Hitsu did was, and I don't, off the top of my head, know it.
Yeah, I'm trying to actually remember if Hitsu had actually done the south part of the Dark World, like the Grove and like Stumpy. Because that's certainly, to P-Train, that was his first trip, so then he just wanted to combine everything.
So Hitsu's certainly been through there. I don't think he checked Stumpy, but we saw him mirrored at Cave 45 as a bunny ages ago.
Okay.
And
so maybe Hitsu just didn't think that he needed to, I guess, like dash all the way over. Yeah, I think he just visited the guy directly.
I mean, the guy directly is still a save and quit and a annoying walk. I don't actually know how much faster that is. Probably a little bit, right? Probably enough that Hitsu feels like it's the right play, and then he happens to get burned. But
hey, speaking of which, is this going to be our tablet check?
Yep, I do think it is.
Poor Hitsu. I'm sure he's not going to be too thrilled to see this fire rod.
At least he's got his Master Sword.
Yeah, so I was going to say, at least, though, in this case, he can actually get the item, but to P-Train, he would come back for a second time.
P-Train using Desert as a connector here, I believe.
Is Hitsu going to go back to GT?
Looks, yeah. Unlike P-Train, Hitsu has all the stuff to do right side, so let's go do that.
Power to do left side and right side. He actually might even
he doesn't have the power
now.
to do left side. You know what he needs? A hammer.
Oh, he needs a You're right. I apologize. I keep forgetting that Hitsu has no hammer still. Hitsu, please go to Dark Shopping Mall.
The shopping is good. We promise.
At least I would like to think that, after this, because he can't do much more, he's already in the Dark World and he hasn't been in Dark Shopping Mall yet. Hopefully that will be his motivation or reason to.
Flips, and so it's obnoxious to get to.
Oh yeah, that is.
And as far as he's concerned, it's not in logic without flips, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Which sucks, but it's reasonable. P-Train checks Turtle Rock main entrance on his way to Eastern. Totally reasonable.
Hitsu might at least take Flipper to Lake Highlight Island to check that last location. If he can do that, and dive in Thieves and get his Flippers, then he doesn't have to go through the connector.
Yeah. But again, what's his incentive to, he might be running out of things to do in his mind, but what's his incentive to check that entrance in particular, as opposed to the back of Skullwoods or some other terrible, the back of Skullwoods, which is in logic as far as he's concerned.
Yeah, I mean, the only real thing I thought was just proximity, right? You finish up whatever you can in GT, and near the Dark World, you go right, and then you mirror, and then you can try to take her.
Yeah, that's plausible. It is nearby.
Yeah, so certainly, though, I agree with you. Probably not the most appealing of options.
And Hitsuyan, having not done the left side where the bow is at, is going to do probably some Burna Armos here in a second, which is one of my. I really, Oh no, looks like Sword Beam Armos. Spending the potion.
Meanwhile, P-Train here is making his way through Eastern. I think did the rooms relatively quickly. See if we can get this quick kill on Armos.
Certainly quicker than this Sword Beam.
Speaking of which, which fight do you think is going to be faster?
P-Trains.
Hitz is doing a great job here, though, with Sword Beams. But I guess you're right. Probably using the bow against Armos is more effective than using Sword Beams.
At least he's got, Sword Beams are better than flipping boomerangs, which is also a thing you can do. I'm surprised that he didn't use a potion that gave him magic and just burn this, which I think is actually pretty substantially faster. I thought he had a blue or a green.
I want to say he did not, and P-Train ended up getting his blue potion when he visited Pyramid Berry.
Right. And they're both too cool to shop at the potion shop.
Alright. Where is Hitsu going? Not the Thief's Town so far.
I think this is that Stumpy check that... Nope.
Oh, he hasn't done digging? Is that right? Oh no, he did do digging. Where are you going, Hitsu?
You got the mirror out. Oh, back to... Yep, this is reasonable. Misery Mire. Now that we have both fire and pain, and we can do the rest of this, or more of this. P-Train's also here for a dive.
Yeah, and I certainly missed when P-Train ended up picking up a lamp. He will have a bit of an easier time in Mire Darkwood and the basement.
Yeah, except for the minor detail that he doesn't have a cane.
I really appreciate you being my co-commentator, because you are constantly giving me these great reminders that I keep forgetting about.
Yeah, so this is one of those races where it feels like they both should have these items that they don't have, right? And it's not even that they've done a tremendous amount of route divergence per se. It's just sort of one thing that they both left behind due to slightly awkward routing.
It certainly does seem like the first kind of major play in terms of divergence in progress was that P-Train visited Zora, right? Made the decision, bought his hookshot, and then hookshot left boots, and
he took the brothers connector, right? Hitsuyan passed on that one connector, which because he chose to do the eastern area in the opposite direction, he saw the Sahasral entrance first, and then was like, well, I don't want to take this connector, I got things left to do. P-Train got to that last, took the connector, wound up at Lake Talia Island, had the mitts, was like, sure, I'll check this other nurse one here. It was Steve's Town, it gave him the flippers. He was like, hey, with the flippers, I'm like Lake Talia Island, let's go do the stuff. And so the decision is the really minor decision about which direction to check eastern area in. And I think on average P-Train's direction is slightly faster, but I'm not going to fault Hitsuyan for going the other way around. Like,
Yeah, no, I mean, sometimes it's just you need, you have like 10 different coin flips and you pick one, right?
Yeah. Speaking of which, P-Train is choosing to get these large number of items rather than the smaller number of items in Hope Room.
Yeah.
Right. The P-Train has a lot of, in P-Train's mind, there's a lot of checks out there. And one of them is the king. And number one, he might have literally just forgotten that he hasn't done Hope Room, which would be bad. But even if he remembers that he hasn't done Hope Room, there's only 2 checks there. And it's totally defensible to put off those 2 checks in favor of the 7 checks. Put those 2 checks off in favor of any number of other checks. Of course, when he does eventually get back there, he basically just wins. He's ahead by a lot. And this might be it. I find it interesting he's doing this before going back to going to Swamp. No, this is not it.
Yeah, I can certainly imagine him going to Swamp. Swamp right now is probably his most item-dense location.
Yeah, I guess he hadn't checked the damn item yet. Plus, there's an item here.
I think he's just going to be a little bit richer.
And a little bit richer.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, Swamp Small.
Yes, thank you so much for the reminder, Dinksy. Yes, he has only been in pod once, unlike Hitsu's 3 times, and I think that was where the small key to Swamp Palace was.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, which does. So, I don't just get to be sad at P-Train for not having done the thing that we know about. Now he hasn't done the thing we know about, and also the other thing that we know about. The second of which he's defensively not done. Right, going back into pod again, especially now that he knows the crystal. I can understand. Hope Room leaving behind just made me sad.
yeah. I'm sure. After the scene is over, we could ask him, about the decision to not do right side. I'm actually quite curious to know what his rationale is.
So, unfortunately, this is a case where I don't know if we'll get a good answer. Not because his emotional response to eventually finding Kane there will be such that probably getting the dispassionate answer as to why he didn't do it earlier will not work. P-Train, having now found several parts of Hyrule Castle, finally deigns to go in here.
Meanwhile, Hitsu has successfully traversed his Admire Dark Rooms. He's found Vitreous. Started with the initial King strats that definitely slowed down the game quite a bit, but looks like he's going to finish off the rest with just sword spins here.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, still having no bow. Thank you. I did not need a reminder this time. Or no hammer. This is probably his best option.
And no cape. Right. This is one of the places in the game where the cape is actually super helpful. Because you can cape dash back and forth, and it's potentially more damage than burnout. P-Train doing Dark Cross with a lamp, which seems like cheating in Crosskeys. You hardly ever get to do this.
You're also doing Dark Cross, at hour 40, so, hopefully by this point you've found the lamp. No promises, of course.
No promises. And the boots. Way faster with boots. And at an hour 42, Hitsu gets his first crystal. And it's one of the 2 that P-Train doesn't have.
I think this is second crystal. He did finish Hera, I think, earlier on.
Oh, he finished Hera. Sorry. It's red. I got confused by the red.
Yeah, I totally understand. It's not like you've ever had to remind me of anything
that's visible on the trackers that we're looking at?
Yep.
Here's the pod play from P-Train, which will shortly put Swamp Palace at the top of his to-do list. Think.
He's very sad about his mirror placement. I think he wanted to come in.
Mirror on the snitch?
Very close to. It was definitely in proximity.
Oops. Going through Super Bunny Cave. Gets to do it faster this time. Now with a hook shot. Apparently decides that quick swapping back and forth from the hook to the mirror isn't worth it. Whoever's dropped down the right hole, that makes me happy. Keen to burn. P-Train picked up the Swamp Palace small key while I was busy admiring Hitsu traversing Super Bunny Cave. So P-Train can now go do that, which and he'll presumably full clear. The unfortunate thing is that Hitsu's also got a lot of places you can go that aren't the right place to go. What did you forget?
I'm sorry?
You said, I forgot.
Oh, I forgot that. So P-Train ended up picking up the small key to Thief's Town in the pod big chest. I forgot that was even a location.
Right. So a location that Hitsu has left behind and is likely to continue leaving behind leads to another location that neither one of them wants to go to. Well,
yes. Hitsu does have the pod big key. Yeah, so if he decides... Well, okay, he's definitely going to have to go back a fourth time. But hopefully the fourth time he goes back to pod is when he's in go mode.
Why does he have to go back? It's a pendant.
Oh, it is a pendant. Oh, sorry. I was looking at Hitsu's tracker instead.
I mean,
he may not ever go back.
There's some chance that he goes back because he doesn't want to go get the hammer in the shopping mall because it's flippers locked. He doesn't have the flippers.
It looks like Hitsu's going to check the back of Skull Woods location with that newly acquired fire rod.
Yeah, he's got all kinds of wrong trees to bark up.
Skull Woods. Trees? Yeah, I got it. Whether that was intentional or not.
Hey, and there's a 5-item cave out there that he hasn't found yet. P-Train is hopefully tracking which item caves he's found. And just didn't take off, damn. Despite the fact that he's clearly found it.
Alright, so we found the flute here on Hitsu's side in Blind's basement.
Oh great, more places that aren't helpful.
Yeah, I am slightly more concerned now for Hitsu because this is probably the deepest fear that it's been buried on his side. So I can certainly see him quickly activating it and then fluting over immediately to the mire area.
Mm-hmm. And there ain't nothing there because we know where all the things are.
Yeah. We just need these flipper locations. I was very, very happy for Hitsu very early on that he decided to take flipper to the Zora area, without having the Moon Pearl, and therefore getting a switch shot. But he just needs to do one more big flipper play.
P-Train too cool for that key? What was that?
Maybe he'll get it on his way back. I mean, these guys have been playing the seed for an hour and 45. Maybe this is just not the thing that he's been, remembering. Hey, at least he found the ice rod. So if he decides to go back and clear to the rock, he has that option.
I mean, now he can go check for the Edamon Trinity.
And they did find Laser Bridge. Right? I forgot actually where Laser Bridge entrance was, but at least like they don't have to traverse all of Turtle Rock to get to Trinex.
Turtle Bridge, Laser Bridge is somewhere easy to get to relatively. Spec Rock.
Okay.
I mean, it's not the easiest place to get to. It's not.
Well, thanks to that flute that Hitsu just activated, it is super easy on his side. Pecan does find half magic. It's a very nice quality of life improvement.
I mean, at this point, he's done with quality of life improvements in his own mind. He found red mail earlier, and he's like, "Nah, I'm good."
Yeah, I'm sure both these rooms would be happy to see a third sword. But yeah, other than that, half magic really, is actually not even probably that worth at this point.
If no more swords turn up, I guess it's helpful on Ganon, just for magic management.
Yeah,
but,
a lot less pressure for you to then get Torch Flesh. Agreed.
But it's not a huge deal. We'll see how P-Train's Master Sword Argus goes. Pretty good. Started with Sword Beams, which was actually kind of inconvenient because Link to the Past is programmed badly and the Sword Beams are bad. Yeah, speaking of things that are wrong to do that are reasonable in the runner's mind, Hitsu's now checking Magic Bat because might as well.
Oh,
the Magic Bat.
Why must you do this to Hitsu?
Puts the magic powder back together and gives you a mushroom. It's magic.
Cycle of life. Cycle of fetch quest items. I'm not sure.
Well, fortunately, he's got this flute. So.
And Potion Shop is in Kakariko. Is that right?
Yep. Yeah, they found that 10 minutes in or whatever. And here's P-Train also getting his mushroom.
Yeah, P-Train, correctly remembering, right before he entered the exit of Magic Bat, that he needs to actually drop down.
Yeah, this Magic Bat has good security. Like all the other idiots in this place, he doesn't have just a key lying around under the doormat.
Hitsu, unfortunately, did pick up that small bit of Tower of Hera, so we're gonna see a second tile room on his side.
Lady Wishy, P-Train does just need the cane. The cane is in Hope Room. Hitsu needs a bunch of crap, including the hammer, which is a shopping mall.
Yeah, so the most important one right now that's getting Hitsu is the hammer, which, as Excalibur said, is in Dark Shopping Mall, and he really, really needs to go there. The harder one, I think, that Hitsu is going to be able to pick up is the Flippers. The Flippers are in Thieves Town, which is in the Vanilla Ice Palace location. So, and in order to get there, that location is actually Flipper's lock, because when you take the connector from Sahasrah's hut.
Yeah.
Hitsu had found it.
Alright, so
he saw the outside.
P-Train's in this place. Is he doing the thing? No.
Oh my gosh! He's climbing PT before doing right side. That is amazing.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. that was an amazing.
No!
Wait, what? I thought that was a fake for us. Turns out it was not. Oh my gosh, Hitsu! Hitsu is doing the first thing that he needs, for sure. He is going to get his slippers. Thank you, Hitsu. I guess I'm curious to see if Hitsu actually folds clears Thieves Town. We know on from P-Train's side it's not necessary.
No, we don't. This is incorrect. Please.
Oh no, you're right. You're right.
Again.
Right. This was so early. Oh my gosh, I was too excited to see it. Oh. All right. Okay. So at least we know, and we're also gonna get, I guess, the last check from Hitsu's side is we're gonna see what the Thieves Town big chest has for us. Alright, hopefully with the flippers pickup after this though, it will remind Hitsu that he needs to go to do Dark Chopping Mall. He'll just go over there, get his hammer, he'll be happy.
It's not a trivial place to get to from here because of the obnoxious wall around Ice Palace.
Yes, that is 100% true.
So, like, I agree that with the flippers in hand, he's much more likely to do it just because it's, actually logic.
I can't remember if actually Hitsu has done the hobo check. He certainly has not been to Waterfall Ferry, so he might do that right after Ice Palace. Or Ice Palace. He might have to eat a Thieves' Town, which is where Ice Palace is.
Yeah. And he can't convince himself that he got the flippers out of logic, which is one nice thing about an item being apparently locked by itself, is presumably there was some other way to do it. So...
This scene has been such the roller coaster for us to watch. P-Train also showing us that room is not as satisfying without the cutest Mario.
Nope. But you can still do it. Watching runners, here's one of you said, oh, they all know the strats and the backup strats, and the other backup strats. Apparently P-Train does not have backup strats for the gauntlet without a king.
I mean, like the last backup strat is like, the one that I would use, which is you keep slashing your sword until all of them are dead.
Yeah, and in fact, at this point, Hitsu has seen both sides of the connector that lead to Thieves' Town, so he knows that this is the flipper lock location. But he did fake flipper to get here. I wonder if... So, chat's been speculating if P-Train will notice that he has the compass, and that it tells him that he hasn't done Hope Room yet. He also hasn't done Right Side, and I think that even if he thinks he's done Hope Room, he'll think that he'll do Right Side next. Anyway, but wonder if he would actually notice that the number on the compass is wrong.
Speaking of looking at the top of the screen, though, on B-Train's side, he just picked up the silvers on Upper GT, so, that could be a further indication that he will at least have something has changed up there.
Draw the eye.
Extremely fast blind takedown on Hitsu's side, picking up his next crystal. Granted that he already did the dam and has opened up Swamp for him, I guess I'm wondering if he's going to choose to go there next. He has a lot of options.
He's got a lot of... Unfortunately for Hitsu, he's got a lot of options. Oh god, P-Train.
P-Train! Oh no, P-Train! Alright, well, so he's going to put off his cane for a little bit longer.
I'm putting exclamation points behind my interview question for P-Train. Alright.
But, at least he had silvers for his Ganon fight. That's something. I very much doubt that Hitsu's going to have that.
I mean, so all of P-Train's going to the wrong places is definitely making his Ganon fight eventually faster.
Yeah, and given that he's already cleared all these dungeons, we haven't found a sword upgrade yet. So,
Also,
through all these one-offs, he's probably gonna pick one up sometime.
Man, that old man is full of hearts. So, everybody, this is a reminder, this is round 7 of a 100-player tournament, of whom 64 qualified for the brackets. And these guys are like in the last 6. Maybe it's 8. I've lost the count. So this is some top tier, unbeatable, high quality Crosskeys play right here.
these guys are these guys are actually really good. Like, I would never want to face any of these guys. I'm sure many people also don't want to face these guys.
I'm pretty sure that P-Train can literally check every entrance again before I could beat this scene. But, you know, that's not to say he's not making mistakes. Oh, boy.
I mean, at least, in this case, it's a good thing for Hitsu that P-Train is also checking her basement. This is going to be no time gate by P-Train. Alright, Hitsu looks like...
So, in P-Train's mind, he hasn't found Blind's hideout. He's found Mimic Cave, but he hasn't done it. And there's two more chest caves up there. So he might be interested in checking entrances.
Yes, go Hitsu, go! This is something that he absolutely needs to do.
So P-Train can, for instance, go and do the bomb shop, which is also in a flipping terrible location, as another way to lose some time. There are still plenty of things to distract him, including what he's doing right now, which is the Back of Skull Woods.
Yeah, and actually, just like Hitsu, he's gonna find his flute, potentially go to the mire area. Thank you so much, Hitsu! He finally pulled out his hammer from Pyramid Fairy. Alright, looks like Hitsu with that hammer. Actually, so what else? So, it's okay. So at this point, Hitsu needs to go back to GT, and he needs to do, I guess, just the left side. Right?
Yes. So they both need to go back to GT now.
For different reasons. Although at this point, it does seem like Hitsu still is a small palace clear behind P-Train. Oh, and an Easter palace clear. Yeah, Hitsu has still quite the ground to make up. But getting that hammer and getting those flippers certainly was great turns for Hitsu's favor.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly a start on the Hitsu comeback train. Crunker121242. Yes. This is Crossworld Key Sanity. Read the description that I just posted in chat. And I mean, even if there's no items in most of these dungeons, Hitsu does need crystals. So we're likely to see, in fact, I would expect to see him do all of the not bow-locked dungeons before heading back to GT, even though we know that's the thing to do. There's no reason for him to be doing that in favor of this thing that he can do. What has a crystal at the end of it. Do you know if Hitsu uses a map tracker, Clearmouse?
So I don't know personally. I certainly haven't seen anything displayed on screen.
Yeah.
I can only imagine he has to. But I don't. But if he does, I certainly don't know which one he uses. I'm just gonna assume that it's not the tracker, as a default.
Which is, reasonable. P-Train taking Paradox up as a connector up to the mountain, pretty sure.
I don't remember if, on P-Train's side, if he did left side swamp.
He did not.
Okay, that also then could be, that could be a location he goes back to.
Yeah. And it was, these two checks are certainly, on the to-do list.
I really like his execution through that room using the hookshot and boots. It seemed very fast.
I was being impressed about P-Train's fast guards room, where apparently the correct number of sword beams is one each, which is a fact that I wouldn't have ever known.
Alright, second chest in Aga Tower is just 20 rupees, so hopefully, if Hitsu doesn't go back, that's definitely time being back again. But this is a very, but because P-Train just had this first castle tower small key, that's a very fast logical check for him.
Yeah, I don't see Hitsu going back there before he does left side GT. Left side GT is just a whole bunch of stuff that happens to include the stuff that he needs, except for Eastern Big. So he's still missing some big. No, just the one.
Yeah. So actually, Eastern Big actually was in left side GT. It was in Southwest Room, right, along with the bow.
Along with the bow. So so I think. At least here's my prediction for the future. Hitsu's going to do all the dungeons that he knows about that he can do without a bow, and then he's going to do left side GT if we get that far. P-Train, on the other hand, is going to do all kinds of nonsense until he's done all of the things that he knows he hasn't done, and then he's going to try to figure out what he doesn't know that he hasn't done. Because as chat is almost certainly correct about, I think P-Train thinks he has done Hope Room at this point, because Hope Room is better checks than many of the things that P-Train is doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he does look like he has the small key to Thieves Town. That also might be an option for him. Considering he found the Ice Palace big key and he's coming back here to Ice Palace for the one check.
For the one check. Having to not do Icebreaker again, though to get to the big chest, I don't know if it's actually faster.
It's just more practice with that Ice Palace bomb check that I'm sure that he really needs.
You have to do Ice Palace bomb jump to get to the big chest?
Maybe not.
I don't think so. I don't know if we have a schedule thing somewhere. There we go. Click the link, Crunker. Yeah, boy.
Another high five for our runners.
Yeah, except that one of them is accomplishing things and the other isn't.
Well, I guess at least both runners are going to be able to check this Ice Palace a big chest. We're just going to find out sooner on P-Train's side.
I'm going to act surprised. Nothing important. Oh, look. Nothing important.
At least when Hitsu gets there, he will have 8 bombs instead of 5.
Wow. So what haven't they found to distract themselves with yet? Cape. Shuffle. Though, I don't know if they found this set of bumper cave at some point.
Hitsu, I know, has found the front of Bumper Cave. I haven't seen the exit.
Yeah, I agree with that. I also haven't noticed the exit being checked anywhere, but I'm sure I've missed some entrance checks. Hitsu doing not the cleanest icebreaker here. Gets it on the second try with more sword slash buffers than I think you strictly need, but I assume that was a recovery.
Yeah, I think at some point Hitsu had said that he's probably not the best at execution for icebreaker. That is his personal evaluation.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough, right? Like, I think that doing it mediocre is still probably fine, and getting it just perfect seems like it's a whole bunch of practice that I can understand not wanting to do. Frankly, the extra 5 seconds makes a difference how often, right? Yeah, you can't give away 5 seconds on every darn thing in the game, but that only comes up once. It's fine. Nick Musk. P-Train has not ticked off Meyer Shed or Pyramid Fairy. He probably, yeah. He helpfully has like a literally tick boxes on his stream showing which caves he thinks he hasn't found, which is really convenient for answering this question. Thank you, P-Train, for streaming considerately.
Okay, so let's see. So Hitsu's pretty much ready to fight Cold Stare now. It looks like this is going to be our Pyramid Fairy, Pyramid Fairy location, Big Bomb, on P-Train's side. Is he out of options after this?
Unclear. The blue on the Dunka Tracker and the green on the Dunka Tracker is hard to tell apart at the resolution he's showing the Dunka Tracker. So certainly he's getting close. Two-Stone Big Chest is on the list.
I guess I'm trying to think if there are any other
vanilla big key chest, but I don't think he has access to it. He's missing a pod key from somewhere that Hitsu has. And Trinex, and the rest of Turtle Rock, but Trinex in particular.
I guess I was actually trying to think if there was another location that could potentially have an item, because if he's just missing the cane, he's in item go mode, or one item from item go mode. Then he should just go back to locations that only have items.
Yeah,
as opposed to entrances.
So we think that he's missing Mire Shed.
Yes.
And Pyramid Fairy.
They found Pyramid Fairy, right? So this is his last entrance?
Then P-Train is failing to track which entrances he's missing.
Okay, because Pyramid Fairy ended up having our hammer, which wasn't very shopping mall that I was so hoping that Hitsu would go to for like 20 minutes.
Apparently P-Train got bored with ticking off entrances at some point.
Alright, Hitsu is our first of our two runners. Back in GT. Oh my gosh, this is quite the tide for this race. Yeah, because it looks like having exhausted all entrances, P-Train is going to go back to his quote-unquote most item-dense location, which is left side swamp.
I mean, if he was correct about other things that he knew, he'd be right that this is the most item-dense place left.
Alright, with the pickup of the bow and big key to Eastern, Hitsu realizes he is now, in fact, in go mode.
Yep, and is not interested in the rest of GT.
I'm pretty sure at for the most part of this race, we actually asked Hitsu, what his chances are of thinking if he's going to potentially be in the lead at any point during this race. I don't think it would have been a very positive response.
Nope. And frankly, it shouldn't have been, right? Like, if P-Train didn't literally forget to do Hope Room when he should have done it in any reasonable evaluation of the game state, he'd have been done half an hour ago. Maybe not half an hour, but darn close, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he would have been done significantly sooner. Well, at least we're going to see, what left side spot has. Because also at this point, we are still missing a good number of I guess like key items, or not key items, but like Y items, right? We don't know where the cape is. I don't think we've seen the shovel yet.
Which is more more things for P-Train to do that aren't helpful. P-Train is presumably completely convinced that was progression. So there's a fair chance that there's Trinex. At the very least, there's Trinex left for him to do.
Yeah, there's Trinex, there's Beatstown Big Key, a big chest. There's the mushroom that we've forgotten about that he hasn't done yet.
Yeah, Hitsu did it. P-Train apparently too. Oh right, Trinex. Miss Mario locked. Not on his to-do list. Oops. Sorry, guys. I'm getting a little bit punch drunk on the old commentary. It turns out that I can only comment on P-Train not going to Hope Room for so long without going crazy.
I mean, I'm pretty sure we were all hoping for P-Train to go to Hope Room much sooner. Oh, that Igor was so rude not to take that arrow hit. Oh, I completely forgot about Spike Cave. I didn't even know where he ended up entering Spike Cave.
No, I've got it marked on my tracker, but
yeah, P-Train at this point has so many hearts that he didn't even need the invincibility. He just walked right through.
Yeah, we good. Never mind. In my defense, chat, I've seen multiple runners walk to the room where you need Cane of Samari to get to Trinex and be like, oh yeah, you need a cane to do this.
Alright, Thieves Down Big Chest. What do you have for us today for
Shovel.
P-Train?
Shovel.
Oh no, I'm sure Hitsu must have checked this, right? Because he was here with the smoky as well. Oh yeah, and maybe it was a heart container? It definitely wasn't anything useful.
Yeah, that was a useful thing, I guess. Oh boy. Oh, apparently Hitsu skipped it because he's too cool. Seems like an odd thing to skip, but yeah. So Hitsuyan is in a very workmanlike way now, clearing out the game. He knows where all the things are, and just needs to do them. P-Train, even if he, I think he is just stone cold behind now, even if he did the right things from here on out.
Yeah, so Hitsu is gonna finish the ML here very, very quickly.
Yep.
P-Train still needs to go back and finish Meyer. That is not a short dungeon, even though he has Fire Rod, Lamp, Silvers. I mean, he still needs to get there.
Yeah, Go Mode Meyer is not. I mean, it's certainly longer than. While I was busy talking about how long P-Train would have to spend doing Meyer, Hitsu has gotten to the end of Desert. So. Oh right, yeah. Hitsu cleared Thieves Town before he had the hammer, because of course he did. Because that was the thing that led him to the hammer.
Oh, that's right. Not quite Zero Cycle, but I'm sure at this point Hitsu doesn't care.
I mean, Hitsu is presumably slightly baffled at
as wise to
why this race is still going. Yes. So, Hitsu is now off to go fight Ganon.
It's pretty convenient, at least. Desert is his last crystal. Ganon's right here. It's almost as pretty much as you did Terra, and then you can be you're back to GT.
Yep. Now Hitsu, because he hasn't cleared out a whole bunch of random nonsense for no reason, doesn't have a whole bunch of swords or silvers, and so he's going to actually be at this for a while.
I want to say that Hitsu, when he turned in the mushroom, also did buy a blue potion, so I think he does have that safety.
Yeah, which is helpful because this is. I mean, Master Sword Silverless is not trivial even at this level, right? It's high success rate, but it's not free. All right.
Yeah, it really. Yeah, I mean, it's certainly about consistency, which these broken turners have. But yes, it's still the most variable part of this fight.
You were saying that Ed Rocks weren't so bad earlier in the vid?
No, when did I? No, if I ever say that, just.
Oh God! P-Train, you know better.
Oh no. Oh my god. Okay, at least he could. P-Train wasn't even that confident he was gonna squeeze through there.
Alright, P-Train's back to check big chest, or big key chest, I think. Maybe you'll do...
And Helma? Actually, did he not do this sooner?
No, he didn't have the keys. Samaria's Hope Room. Hitsu got Coach Glitch, which makes the Silverless Phase 4 a lot easier. It's still... He'll still be at this for a while. Alright, does P-Train still think he has things to do? Looks like yes. Or not.
You know, maybe after this, he would consider adding an additional checkbox or splitting GT to, you know, GT left, GT right, and upper GT.
Yeah.
Or, you know, this is just something that, you know, P-Train will just, you know, it'll happen once, right? And then it'll never happen again.
I mean, Chat quite rightly pointed out that it showed on his screen for like 4 minutes the wrong total. Like the compass, which is, you know, everybody laughs at in the racing community, right? Like, aha, it's useless, right? Was literally on his screen showing him the wrong total for where he was in his mental progression through that dungeon. And he didn't notice it. But now, that's not surprising because nobody ever looks at the darn compass. But shrug. GG's to Hitsu.
GG's to Hitsu with that really awesome Mystosaurus Silverless fight and the endurance to actually play out this entire scene despite his earlier skips from items. He has finished.
The Triforce message of "We did it" feels entirely appropriate tonight.
We did it! Good job, Hitsu. And yeah, it looks like P-Train has indeed forfeited. So game 1 will in fact go to Hitsu.
And P-Train has joined us, and I assume that Hitsu will be along in a moment. Condolences, P-Train.
Hi, P-Train.
Yeah, that's rough.
Do you know what happened yet?
Yeah, Hitsu told me.
Okay. That saves me from telling you.
Do you mind if we ask you what ended up happening to let that to result?
Well, I already was on the GT hunt when I found it, and then I was like, oh, I have hammer and hookshot. I can do all of the things on my way to Armos. And just completely forgot Hope Room existed. I kind of lumped that entire side with having the Cane of Samaria.
Right.
And completely forgot Hope Room existed, which kind of sucks because I feel like I threw. Like, I feel like I was doing really good outside of skipping Samaria.
Yep, you were. You would have won by 20 minutes.
Yeah, like it might have been sub 2 for me.
Very easily. I think you literally would have won by finished the seed 20 minutes ago. Which is sorry, but I've just been watching you for the last.
I mean, it happens.
Yeah. Sorry, Hitsu's joined us as well. GG's Hitsuyan. Your experience with the seed is very different than P-Train's. What do you think?
On a salty one. Yeah, I had really big issues. And mine are fuck-ups, I would say. Sorry. Like in mirror 2 times out because I don't played last time a lot, I think.
Right.
Or I forgot mirror to Thieves Town, or I had not the mids at the first time I went out there without the flippers on the connector on Lake Hylia.
Yeah, that was super unfortunate, missing the early Thieves Town flippers to hookshot to
Same
boots
for
to everything. Yes,
That's
You-
long.
you
And
took
that's
forever to go to
double check
Sanctuary for no apparent reason. Were you putting off Shopping Mall because you thought it was out of logic, or just because it wasn't convenient yet?
Dark Shopping Mall or...
Yeah, Dark Shopping Mall. Sorry.
Yeah, after I found the flippers, I wanted to check it.
Okay.
Because I feel really behind and wanted to do now some stuff that you would not do first, maybe after your last find.
Yeah, so we weren't sure if you so we of course knew that the hammer was there for quite some time before you got over there, and we were trying to decide if you deliberately weren't going there because you thought it was out of logic, or just it wasn't the thing to do yet.
Yeah, I was thinking I forgot completely about this check where Thieves Town was, and I had only Agar Tower, the first chest with fire left. So it felt for me that I last located like all the items.
You did. You were very far behind in this race.
Same for the purple chest, that was
Yep.
also not nice. That the fire hot is then on the left.
Yep. Yeah. So some sort of reasonably defensible routing decisions really came back to bite you, including just choosing to do Eastern area in the opposite direction. So P-Train, is this because a gloves route going to Flute 5 and then Eastern and then Saha?
Yeah, if I have gloves, I'll always do the flute check first.
Is it
With
faster
the
by some
entrance
number of
things.
seconds?
I feel like it is, because otherwise you have to dive into Sahasrara, then you have to walk out of Sahasrara's entrance, up to Eastern, then jump ledges, as opposed to making the Sahasrara terminal location.
Yeah,
I've never
watching you-
timed it, it just feels faster to me.
I agree. I'm basically that. Anyway, your decision to do that instead of going the sort of non-glove way, Saha Eastern Flute 5, meant you terminated at that connector, took it way before Hitsu did, and then got to the flute, and then you already had the mitts somewhat randomly really early in the game, and so you did all that stuff like way before Hitsu did, in part just because you went the right way around the loop.
Yeah, the seed felt super slow until I hit that connector that gave me Thieves Town. Because then I got the flippers, I immediately converted the flippers into the hookshot. Hookshot gave me boots. Not long after that, I had the pearl. I was like, man, there's no way Hitsu at best I'm tied with him, but there's no way he got from the hookshot to the pearl faster than I did. Like, I felt like I connected those dots really quick. And then to end up with the hammer as early as I did felt amazing.
The pearl after the hookshot,
Yeah.
I think, because hookshot was my last location.
Yeah,
Zora.
you guys both actually made it followed that chain, hook into the rest of the stuff.
In
super
my
fast.
head, it was my last location,
Yeah.
because I forgot the mids thing when I went out the connector, so I had no flippers and did Zora then without flippers.
Yeah, and Zora, of course, is in logic with just a glove, but nobody does Zora by walking up past the witch's house. Certainly not without the flippers, right? Or without the flute.
Next time I do.
Yeah, I mean, just to give you an idea, when I left GT, I was Samaria and the Swamp Palace small key from Go Mode. So then I went and I think I cleared Desert, I cleared Eastern.
You
I
want to
know-
know when I had my cane, P-Twain? I had
you
that before the Moon Pearl.
Yeah, so that felt bad. I was going around, I skipped left side swamp. I did literally right now, the only thing I have left on my map is Hope Room, which I didn't know about. I completely forgot that existed.
Yeah,
So I did the Hera basement, which gave you the Ice Palace big key. Ice Palace big chest had bombs in it. The Thieves Town big chest had a compass in it. Top of GT had a Desert Palace small key, which led to a sword. Silver's also at the top of GT. So yeah.
you're pushing the 200 completion, P-Train here. 200 to, I mean, you forfeit, which is entirely reasonable.
Yeah, I
But-
definitely don't deserve the win here because I had so many problems also in Maya with the mirror. That was like 7 or 8 minutes, I think, in the dark. Then you mirror there out 2 times.
You guys both took some really unfortunate deaths. Hitsu laser skips didn't go great. Is that just
Oh
rush?
yeah, there started everything.
And then P-Train, you got owned by the Gyptos in the terrible room in Skullwoods.
Yeah, that was me being stubborn. I know the NMG strat, which is when you come south from the door.
Yeah.
But yeah, coming in the side, usually I can make it work, but it's a little bit more difficult with the fighter sword because you can't get the berries in one slash.
Right.
Unless they're really nice. So yeah, that was just me being silly.
Yeah. So as I told chat, you guys are definitely, top 8 runners, best to the community. We expect a high quality race next time. All right, both of you.
I mean, honestly, it makes sense. I don't know if either of y'all watched my series against Pika Pals, but that was kind of a comedy of errors on both of our ends where, I happened to come away with the 2-0, but in no way did I actually play those seeds well. I just happened to play them slightly better than Pika Pals did, but we got owned by both of those seeds. So it stands to reason that we both had a comedy of errors, and this time I was on the short end of the stick. So it is what it is.
I think Hitsuyan's right in that Hitsuyan made more mistakes than you did, P-Train. Unfortunately, you made one ultra catastrophic error, whereas Hitsuyan merely last locationed everything.
Yeah, I was at the end of it when Hitsu got done. I was like literally trying to rack my brain for what I had skipped. I had no idea what was even left. I knew I'd skipped some at that point because I had checked everything I have on my map.
Yeah,
But it never would have occurred to me that I skipped Operum.
yeah. We were wondering if it was getting the fire source or the book the second sword to get the fire rod that had distracted you from Hope Room, which might have happened. I don't know.
I should have done Hope Room before even going left. I don't know why I didn't, honestly.
Yep. I don't know.
Yeah. And
Sorry, go
actually, when you were scaling, so when you came in GT the second time, you dashed up to scale, and we were like, oh no, we want you to go full right. And then you mirrored out, and you dashed up again, and we were like, oh man, maybe this is his opportunity to go right. And then of course, you still scaled anyway. And then in Zelda, and then as you picked up the silvers, Zelda in chat was hoping that you would notice. That you look at your compass at that point and see that you had indeed not done right side.
Nah, I should have, and honestly, I'm not that familiar with the GT chest counts.
Right.
I rarely track my tracker has a clicker that I can click how many items I found in GT, but I just don't bother counting. It's just so annoying to me to try to do that while you're executing GT.
I mean, 27 is a lot of clicks when you're busy. All right, do you guys have game 2 scheduled yet?
Not yet.
All right, then I can't tell our lovely crowd to come back and watch you guys then, but it'll be up on the schedule when you guys get around to letting us know. Norinata, you want to play us out?
Sure. GG's Hitsuyan and P-Train. Let's just say it was an interesting race. The comms were kind of yelling at you during the race to kind of go to this location. No, don't leave GT. So
we were very passionate that hopefully you guys could hear us.
Yes. So GG's, looking forward to the remaining races.
Next time I'll just watch the restream while I'm running, and when y'all tell me stuff, I'll hear it.
P-Train, you're a racing council leader. I don't know if I can listen to this anymore.
I'm doing these wrong.
Thank you
Please
very much.
don't.
Yes. No.
Yeah, GG's. Thank you for
GG's, guys. I mean, you guys played really, really well. Don't worry.
Just wrap up quick. Thanks Excalibur and Clear Mouse for the excellent commentary, and also thank you Oddwalls and Jinxie Girl for tracking. I don't believe we have any matches currently going on right now. We do have a Ocarina of Time Randomizer Weekly going on, which is where I'm going to send you next, and you can always check out the schedule on ZeldaSpeedRuns to see what we have coming up. So I know it's getting late for some of you, so I'm just going to wrap it up. And have a good night, everyone, or morning for some people, or afternoon. Thank you. Catch you later. Bye.